Hello everyone. Let's talk about L-RGB combination. Some people have been asking for me to do a video. I may have done one last year, but I'm going to go at it again for those who have either L-RGB filters or are shooting luminance with one camera and RGB with another. So let's get started. First, let's look at both files. Let's open up the luminance and we'll stretch it. There we go, M81. And we'll open up the color RGB, and it's already stretched. And so you notice the cast is yellow. Generally with RGB cameras, the cast should be green. In this case, it's yellow. We know that was caused by the flats. Even though they were taking their daytime flats, sun flats without a box, but sometimes it ends up light green and sometimes yellow. So before we do anything, I want to get rid of this yellow cast. And normally people would use, normally I might use DBE, and we can do it just for a test. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this. So my presets are 500 for tolerance. Let's change this 450 down to 400. And the sample size is maybe around 20 and only 8 per row. Let's just hit generate. So that's pretty good. I'm not going to move the squares around off the stars, which should be pretty close for this test. So let's just do that. Hopefully hopefully I forget. I hit background. Yeah. All right. So it's important to say subtraction. Let's get rid of this. Let's do it again. Subtract. So we can have both images. Okay, so resize those two. And let's go to the background. That should be orange. Well, light yellow. Okay, so let's close that off. And let's see what kind of a result we have here. So actually that's not bad at all. That's the one way to remove this orange cast. So I'm just gonna, so you can follow this, and this is the result you get. So I'm going to reclose the DBE one, close the background extraction. That should remove all these squares here. And let's do it what I found to be not necessarily better, different, and it still provides pretty good results. And in a way I want to do this because these three channels should be separated anyways into RGB, because we're going to combine LRGB. So let's go to RGB extraction and let's drop it. And there we have all three channels. Now we can minimize this out of the way, and if you want, you can actually send it to the second window down here. Let's have a look. There it is. Back to number one window. And now we have our LRGB. Now the orange cast is still here. So what we need to find out is which one of these has the lowest value, so that we can equalize all those and get rid of that orange cast by using linear fit. But I can't use linear fit until I find out which one of these is the weakest channel. So let's go back here for a moment. I should have actually left that there. Send it back to 1. Okay. Open up, let me look here, histogram transformation. Okay. And let's go to RGB, just simply RGB, which is this one here. As you can hear, see RGB. Look at the channels. If you want, you can put 100 lines and use lines, because if you use area, it kind of blocks what we were looking for. So let's use lines, and if you're using 12-bit, you would get this. And that's fine too, because if I really stretch this, by the way, I'm just scrolling my mouse. See, 107. Look at the channels. Red's the strongest, green's the second, and red and green makes yellow, orange, and blue's the weakest channel. We know now that in linear fit, we're going to need to use the blue channel to correct the red and the green. So let's close this. Now we can get rid of this and send it back to number 2. Let's open linear fit. Choose the blue channel, which was the weakest, B. Okay. Now go back here, see where it says B at the top here, blue. Minimize that out of the way so it's not there when we're dropping our triangle onto first red, this will take a few seconds. And now we're going to drop it on green. Could have actually paused that. This video is going to be 1.5 hours. Done. So let's have a look. So green, stretch. Red, stretch. Blue, stretch. So there they are, all 3. Now for the sake of verification, we're going to use RGB Combined, and let's see if it actually worked. So here you have R, G, and B, and the color space is RGB. So let's select, auto selects red is red. If I look for green, green automatically comes up because Pixinsight split the channels by themselves, and blue is blue, and that's great. Now let's hit the circle and see if we have a final image of RGB Combined, and we don't want no yellow or orange, and let's stretch it. Perfect, absolutely perfect. So there's our RGB image, but we don't want this right now. But that was just to prove that it worked and the orange cast is gone. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this because we want to keep LRGB as if we just came off L-RGB. So this now represents something that would come off your filters. Your filter wheel had luminance, and then you had your red channel, green channel, and blue channel. So we can leave it at that. Now let's check one thing. At this point, we really need to see if these files line up. So I open up luminance, okay, which is really nice, and we're just going to choose red. Let's superimpose and see if the stars are right on top of each other. Excuse me. And they're not. They're off by a mile. As you can see, if I put it down a bit here, that would probably be right about there. And that's no good. So let's fix that first. So step back up. So to do that, it's pretty simple. Let's use our star alignment. Open it up. Now here there's view. Normally we choose file. If you watched my other videos, 12 parts, but we're going to use view and select luminance right here. Okay. And then add view, because these are the other 3 here, but we're going to select all of them, RGB including L, and let's put them in. Now we want this to output somewhere so we can go and get them when they're all straightened out and aligned and registered. So let's go to HP, to M81, new folder, registered. Good enough. I guess we could get we put in there LRGB. So that's where they're going to. That's where they're going to be going. Okay, now 1 second here. In order to do that properly, we're going to want to make just a few adjustments here. for example, registration. We're going to use select 2D surface spline for registration, and I think we're going to use distortion correction also, and we'll try 75 iterations, and of course register and match images, and this is where they're going to output. Just check here our ransack. Normally there's no ransack errors, but I like to put this around maybe 4080. It shouldn't be a problem, but I maybe even a little more, maybe a little bit more. Maybe let's go around 6. There we go. All right, so let's see if we can stack these and send them to that folder register.LRGB. So let's hit it. Let's see what happens. Hopefully that'll work, not fail. This is going to take a while, I think. So let's see if that worked. This is, let's stretch this a bit. RGB in red. This is green. And just make them, I hate that when it makes it bigger. There we go. Blue, green, red. Okay, make that smaller, and let's bring over our luminance. Now let's see if these now, there's a bit of rotation here. The camera could have been moved over, but they perfectly match. Okay, so I'm going to minimize these, put this L back where it belongs, minimize, minimize, and I'm just going to, hopefully I can delete all these, because they're no longer needed. Oh, I guess you can only do one at a time. Delete. Okay, and I'm going to rename all these in a moment, but first I want to go see what happened in that folder that I said registered to, which is in temp 2, M81, and there's not there. Okay, that's probably because I chose, let's look at this again. See where I said view instead of file? Had I chose file, they would all went into that folder, but I actually made them come up on top here. If I had chose file, then it would have been different. It's okay. You saw what it did the first time. Follow that. You don't need to output this at all, in fact, because they'll show up on the desktop. So let's close this. We're done. Open this up. Let's rename this for the simple purpose of keeping things simple. This is blue. Red. Or sorry, blind. Green. Try to read the tab there, and then you'll know that's okay. So back in their spots. RGB. Not that it matters. Okay, so these are all lined up. Now that they do line up, it's far and likely possible that there's going to be some residue from dithering, and there is. See up here, this, here, let me zoom in a bit. This whole section down to about here is darker because the image was shifting during dithering, and same here. So what do we want to do now? Well, we're gonna have to crop this and apply that crop to all 3 so that all 4 match up. Now the thing is this: if I crop this and then I crop this, more than likely this isn't gonna fit. So what I do is I took the one that's offset a bit. I normally take the one that's offset and got a good crop on this one, so that all the other 3 match. So how do we do that? Let's go to dynamic crop. And all this preliminary stuff, and we're not even combining LRGB yet, because there's quite a bit of work to do beforehand. So what do we do here? Well, let's bring it in a bit. And did you know that you can rotate that like this? A little bit. Let's bring it in some more. I hate to have to waste frame, but man, we have to get rid of this. Could stop on the edge here. That's a bit better. We can probably steal a bit. Even enter into the black here. Okay. Now don't apply this. Instead, take this purple triangle and put it over here. And put this off to the side. Move this over. Bring back luminance. Drag that process on it. It should flip. Straighten it out. Bring in the green channel. Drag the process. Blue channel. Drag the crop process. See how they're flipping, and as I keep putting them on top of each other, they're completely lined up. And finally, hit the green check mark on the dynamic crop, and that should flip. And if I put it on top of the blue channel, all 4 channels are perfectly matched. Go ahead and right click and delete. Process, close dynamic crop. L-RGB are now all lined up, one on top of each other, and that's so important. And the crop's been done. Now we'll kind of have a quick look again at the outer edges. There's a little bit of black here and a little bit of black down here. If you wanted to, we could take the clone and just go in really, really, really tight, like this. I'm going to do it, but you don't have to do this. Can't even find my clone tool. In fact, I might not even have it on this in these set of icons. In any event, you could clean that up if you want to. Okay, let's back out. Okay, back to luminance. Now all four of us frames, LRGB, have cropped, and that's going to make all our frames line up perfectly when it's time to combine them and do other work on it. Now, more than likely, there's going to be gradients. There always is gradients of one form or another. There's always a gradient in all our images, whatever the cause is, and I'm not getting into the cause. Moonlight, artificial light pollution, things like that. So let's see if we can let's see if we can remove on all 4 channels the gradient. Now, of course, the best thing to do that again is, if I can find it, I put icons and I can never dynamic background extraction. Now here's the cool thing. Once you've set your parameters here, when you generate them, again, I'm going to change this down to 400 maximum sample weight. I want about 8 across the board, and I want them pretty big here. I'll try 30. Once you do this one, I'll show you what you can do to do all other 3, and it's going to take like no time at all. So what's the correction? Subtraction. Let's try it. Whoops, gotta open that up, I guess. Generate my squares. There they are. Okay, so minimize this for a moment, but don't close it. Now I'm going to zoom in, go down to the top bottom corner. Now that makes a lot of sense. Top bottom corner. Let's move this over. And yeah, I'm going to go through all these. It's going to take a minute. What am I looking for? I want to get them off the stars. All of them. It can take some time, but it's worth it. If you find your squares are too big, because there's way too many stars, then just go here and make this from 30 to 15. Okay, let's keep going. Looks good, looks good. I'm going to scroll across, get that off. I think it's Holmberg here, which is incredible. By the way, this image was taken by Tim McCullum, and it was taken with a William Optics 132 FLT f7 and the Hypercam from Altair Astro, in this case the mono one. Okay, get that off the star. Don't put any of these squares near the galaxy. In fact, anything that's nebulous, anything white would be bad. Pull it away from the galaxy a bit. Keep going across. Pull it away from the galaxy. Off the star. We're good here. We're not good there. up. This takes time. Up, up. You know what else I noticed? I'm going through here. I've already seen 6 or 7 galaxies in the background. Here's another one. Here's another. They're just all over the place. And this is a depth to the incredible quality of the William Optics 132 FLT. Just shocking. But also the camera being at 86% quantum efficiency makes a huge difference. I have the mono, I have the color, and when I shoot color, I get half the detail, but 4 times more than my DSLR. So, all things being equal. Here we go. Okay, now, before you hit that, go back to this and remember this little triangle like we did with the crop? Take this and put it over here to the side. Okay? Okay, it's subtract from this any type of gradient, and let's see what happens when we drag this onto here. Let's see what we can pull out of there. Okay, minimize. Make it smaller. I don't know why Pixinsight makes it big, but it's really annoying. Background, stretch. So there's the gradients around M81. Let's close the background. Let's have a look at the actual image. Okay. If there's anything there that was darker or lighter, it's now been removed off the background. Let's close dynamic background. I think you're allowed to close it. And this is now DBE'd. So what's going to happen now is this is no longer in use. So I'm going to close it. And again, I don't want that being in there. It's my luminous channel and it's good. So back up you go because it's been done. Now to the red, drag the same process because it already tagged all the stars all in the proper area because you made a clone. You're making a clone of that. And so it's going to miss every star that it missed on luminance. So that speeds things up. Let's stretch it. Again, this is what it found. Let's see if we can stretch the DBE. There we go. That's interesting. That caused a bit of a darker ring around the galaxy. I don't know if it's going to affect anything later on. I sure hope not. Let's have a look at the luminance. No, it's fine. Okay. So we definitely have to remove the gradients in those if we're going to do this properly. Alright, so let's close R. Yep. Rename R. Oops, got rid of the R. Okay, put it back in its corner. Bring up the green. Drag the process of dynamic background extraction. Let's have a look. Close. This is a new image. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's that. Don't like the dark ring. So go to this one. It's no longer in use. I should have saved them, eh? Boy, talk about a bad time. Had I saved them, I would have copies of them all. Though. That's okay. And let's get rid of this. Let's bring up the blue. Extract. Extract background in whatever shape or form. Let's have a look. This is probably going to look identical to the other one. They all look identical. Stretch. Make it smaller. And that's our blue. Rename it. I can't rename it because if I rename this is going to be a problem. They'll both be matching. Blue. There. This is one way to do it. You people may be looking at this and go, what's he doing? Okay. So that's all been extracted. Now, what is the step after dynamic background extraction? Don't mind me, I'm just quickly looking over my notes. So after you've repeated this, after you've extracted, sorry about that, all the gradients, moonlight, light pollution, things like such, we can do a linear fit one more time using the green channel to average all of them equally. So remember what we did with linear fit? Down here. Okay. Let's see if we can choose green. Why choose green? I'm not sure. That's what everybody else is doing. I've seen this and I've heard this before. So green, this is my reference. Let's put the green out of the way. And we apply that to all channels. Let's go to the green. Sorry. What have I done? Red. Drop. Okay. So we can, now you notice how that's gotten really bright. So just undo it and redo it. Why are we doing this? This is like, well, I can't use the green channel. It's already been done. I mean, that's our reference. You know what this is doing? This is like normalization of each frame, or normalize intensities. So undo, redo. Okay, and now because green has been applied to blue and red, let's do it to luminance. Drag and drop. Now that one's done. So let's undo, redo. Okay, LRGB. As far as that process is concerned, it's a type of normalization. It's like a histogram normalization. So now that we have that done, we're going to be able to, don't mind me, sometimes I just look over to my notes. We're going to open up can't remember the name of that next file. It could be, we're just going to open up RGB working space. It's not assembled yet, but let's just open it up and put it up here. And also combine RGB. So combine RGB. Let's combine these three channels. So red is red, green is green, blue is blue. Right? Let's create that color image. Hopefully they all line up, and hopefully they're in color, and hopefully everything I did so far is okay. So undo, redo, and there we go. How do we know it's color? Let's zoom in. R, G, and B are all there. Okay, so let's close that. Now I think the next step is to align those channels, align those three channels. So I think, and you barely see what happens here, but let's just choose image 27 right here, and just drag it and drop it. Something that happens in the background very subtly, and you don't even see it happening. I think that's how you do that. I think that's how that's how that is used. Okay, so there's a final image, but just in RGB. So again, I'm going to do this. This time I'm going to say RGB. Enter. It's already in use. I wonder where that is used. Okay, I'm going to put an underscore here. It's that. Okay, let's go here. Let's close that. That might have been the problem. Okay, so now we have an RGB and we have an L. Two ways to do this now, maybe even three. But before we go anywhere, I want to save these as fits files. So I'm going to start with Luminous. I'm going to File, Save As, Fits, and I'm going to go into M81 LRGB. Actually, now we could use this folder. Let's open it up. Save. 32-bit. Yes. Actually, let's do that again. Save As, Lum Fits, 16-bit unassigned. For a reason for that is I'll do something later on. This is RGB. I'm going to save this also as a fits file. So I have these all ready for another program later on, but they have to be just standard 16. They could be 32-bit. I'll put this up here. Let's open up the red file, save as. I want these saved because anything happens, I can go back to them. Green. This is taking a long time, eh? We haven't done anything yet except just cleaned up the images, got them ready for combination. One more. Save as. Blue. 16-bit unassigned. Close. Now let me check and see if that's actually possible to open them up. Temp 2, 81, registered. Let's open up. These are still linear, I believe. Yeah, so you won't see anything. That's what I wanted to check. And same with RGB. Earth view cannot see them because they're not. None of them have been stretched. Okay, we're going to stop the video here. That was part 1. All of part 1 just to get to this point here, because part 2 now is stretching these and combining these. So I'm going to stop it here, and I'll see you shortly on part 2. All right, see you in a bit.